The UHS Defiance wasn't supposed to fly. Not ever again. It had been pulled from the scrapyard just last week. Rust lined the hull, and several panels were patched with mismatched alloys. Entire sections still bore the scars of the last war, burn marks, jagged seams, welds done by hand instead of bots. Captain Mara Quinn stood alone on the bridge, staring through the cracked front viewport. The stars beyond shimmered like tiny ghosts, and she couldn't help but feel they were watching her. "Why me?" she whispered. Behind her, the old lights flickered. The systems groaned as if the ship resented being pulled back to life. This was not a proud return. It was a desperate one. She didn't even have her old crew. Half of them had retired, the rest spread across the fleet. What she had now were scraps, volunteers, misfits, and people the fleet had almost forgotten. Just like this ship. And yet, this was the mission they gave her. Investigate a missing colony on Eos 4. The last transmission from the colony was a single word. Shifting. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, silence. The main door creaked open and in stepped Lieutenant Harper, barely 30, smart but always nervous. "Captain, we're 5 minutes from the drop zone," he said, eyes scanning a report on his tablet. Still no response from the colony or the local satellites. The whole system's quiet. "Too quiet?" Mara asked. Harper nodded. She walked over to her chair. The leather was cracked, and one armrest was missing its cover. She sat anyway. "Status?" she called out. "Navigation holding steady," said Ensign Kaito from the front. "Engine core stable." Barely. Came a voice through the intercom. Engineer Arun Becky, buried deep in the guts of the ship. Mara leaned forward. "Drop us out of FTL." The stars outside stretched, twisted, then snapped back into place. The ship gave a hard jolt, as if slamming into still water. And then, silence. No beacons. No signals. Just the distant glow of Eos 4 in the viewport. It looked normal. Green land, blue water, white clouds. But there was something off. Too still. Too clean. "Any chatter?" she asked. Harper frowned. "None. No pings. Not even background radiation. It's like space itself is muted. Run diagnostics. I don't like this." A static buzz filled the bridge. Then, a faint voice, broken, shaky. "Defiance. Do not come." The message cut out. Mara stood. Where did that come from? "No source," Harper said. "Could have been local. Could have been." A sharp ping. Then another. Red lights blinked on every screen. "What is it?" she asked. Kaito looked pale. "I don't know. Something just touched our hull. We didn't see it. We didn't scan it. It was just there." The ship rocked gently, like something brushed past it. "Shields," Mara barked. "We don't have any," came Becky's voice from below. "At least not like the new ships. We've got basic armor plating and a prayer." "Whatever's out there," Harper said quietly, "it doesn't want us here." Mara clenched her jaw. "Too bad. We're not leaving until we find out what happened to Eos 4. As the Defiance crept closer to the planet, a strange shimmer began to ripple across the stars, like a heat haze, but in space. Then, everything went dark. Not black, dark. The screens still worked. The lights stayed on. But beyond the ship, no stars, no planets, no nothing. The crew looked at each other in stunned silence. "This isn't a blackout," Kaito whispered. "This is absence." Becky's voice crackled through again. "Captain, you need to come down here. Now." Mara was already moving. Engineering smelled like oil and old fire. Becky stood at a console covered in wires, dials, and blinking lights that didn't match. The man looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Look at this," he said, pointing at a display. "This energy signature, it's not natural. It's artificial. Something's generating a field around this entire system. Something old. Very old. Can you punch through it?" "I can try, but it'll take time. And Captain, our ship may be old, but that might be why we're still alive. The others out there, with all their fancy tech, I don't think they can even see this. Mara looked back toward the bridge. So we're flying blind into a silent trap, in a ship no one believes in. Becky grinned. Sounds like a proper human mission. And then the lights dimmed again. Something had found them, and it was watching. The Defiance drifted slowly through the black, silent haze that had swallowed the EOS system. On the bridge, every eye was locked on the empty view outside. There were no stars, no planets, no sign of movement. Just thick, endless darkness pressing in on all sides. Harper checked his screen for the 100th time. Still nothing. No signals. No readings. It's like the universe ends right outside our hull. Then how are we still moving? Mara asked quietly. Kaido shook his head. Navigation's working, sort of. We're getting coordinates, but they don't make sense. Our own position keeps shifting by a few meters every second, but we're not actually moving. We're drifting in place? Harper asked. Worse, Kaido said. We're being shifted. Mara's fingers curled around the arm of her chair. She didn't like this. Not one bit. She opened the comm. Becky, talk to me. Down in engineering, Becky was sweating, his hands flying across a half-lit control panel. Whatever field we're inside, it's bending space, not just hiding things. It's folding it, wrapping it. Our sensors are reading inside out. And get this, something about the ship's old wiring is syncing with the distortion. That good or bad? Neither. Just weird. Our broken systems are doing better than perfect ones. The comm crackled again before Mara could reply. A new voice, thick with static. UHS Defiance. This is the Alner Spear. Do you read? Mara blinked. That was an alien name. Harper leaned forward. That's a Drovian patrol cruiser. They weren't supposed to be in this sector. Patch them through. The view screen flickered and lit up with a rough image. A tall, scale-skinned Drovian officer appeared, clearly shaken. The background behind him shook with flashing lights and emergency signals. Human vessel, the alien said quickly. Our ship is failing. Our systems are collapsing. We can't navigate, can't even maintain power. How are you still flying? Mara glanced at her crew. Our tech's older, less refined. We think the distortion affects modern systems worse. The Drovian looked around, desperate. We need assistance. We have wounded. We are dead in space. Coordinates. He sent them. They were nearby. Very nearby. Mara stood up. Kaido, take us in slow. Harper, prep the airlock. Becky, I want you in a suit monitoring that field. We don't know what we're flying into. The crew moved fast. No one hesitated. Despite the fear in their eyes, they knew what they had to do. Minutes later, the Defiance closed in on the drifting Alner Spear. The alien vessel was massive, sleek, silver, perfect. Or at least it had been. Now its hull flickered like a mirage, rippling in and out of visibility. Strange arcs of blue energy crawled across its surface, licking at the metal like fire. Harper whistled. That ship's dying. Mara nodded. Then let's give them a lifeline. They extended docking clamps manually. No auto systems could be trusted here. The old metal arms creaked as they latched onto the alien ship. The boarding team moved fast. Within 20 minutes, they had pulled in 6 Drovian survivors, all badly shaken and weak. One of them, a younger crew member, looked up at Mara as she entered sickbay. You shouldn't be here, he said weakly. This place, it's cursed. Mara frowned. Cursed how? The silence. It's alive. She didn't know how to answer that. Back on the bridge, Kaido was scanning the area when the distortion outside the ship began to move. The thick darkness started to twist, forming slow spirals. Mara, he said, voice tight, something's waking up. Before she could speak, alarms rang out across the ship. Not from their systems, but from the Drovian survivors. The field's reacting, Harper said, watching the incoming alien data. It's growing stronger. It knows we're here. Then came the sound. Low at first. A deep hum through the floor. It vibrated in their bones, rising, louder and louder, until every surface of the Defiance trembled with it. Mara pressed the comm. "Becky, I'm looking at it now," he said breathlessly. "It's not noise. It's a signal. The distortion field, it's not just space warping. It's communication." "From what?" "I don't know." Outside, the spiraling blackness began to form shapes. Circles, lines, a pattern. Harper gasped. "It's a message," he said. "Something's trying to speak." "But to who?" Mara looked at the screen, her chest tight. "Not us." The alien officer from the Alner Spear suddenly stumbled into the bridge, pointing at the window, eyes wide with terror. "They're calling for the one who broke the seal," he said. "They think it's you." Everyone turned to look at Mara, and in that moment, the darkness outside began to reach for them. The blackness outside the Defiance was no longer just a backdrop. It was moving now, slow, steady, and deliberate. Long strands of darkness, like smoke trails or stretched shadows, began drifting toward the ship. "They're not random," Kaito said, eyes wide. "They're tracking us." On the bridge, the crew stared in silence. The shapes were curling toward the ship, weaving around invisible space. One strand brushed against the Defiance's hull. The ship groaned loudly, metal plates creaking. "Contact on the outer hull," Harper said. "Minimal impact. No damage." Yet, Mara didn't like it. "Are shields holding?" "We don't have real shields, remember?" Harper said. "Just old plate armor and hope." Mara stood slowly from her chair. Her voice was calm but firm. "Then we hold together, like we always do." The Drovian officer stepped closer to the viewport. He was trembling now. "This is wrong. This place was sealed centuries ago. Nothing was meant to survive here. You were never supposed to come." "What do you mean?" Mara asked. He swallowed hard. "Long before your people reached the stars, the Council buried something here. Something no one could destroy. So they built a cage around it. A field. A silent zone. No signals, no ships, no sound. And now it's awake," Mara said. He nodded. "Why now?" Kaito asked. The Drovian looked directly at her. "Because your ship came too close. And your ship is different." Mara didn't understand. "Different how?" "Too old. Too unstable. Too imperfect. The field was built to resist order, not chaos. Your ship's chaos disrupted the seal." Down in engineering, Becky's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, we've got a problem." Mara stepped over and hit the button. "What kind of problem?" "The field isn't just growing. It's folding space. I'm getting impossible readings. Parts of the ship are out of sync." "Out of sync?" Harper asked. "Our aft section just lagged behind the rest of the ship by 0.4 seconds. We're splitting." Mara's heart sank. "Can you stabilize us?" "Maybe," Becky said. "I can try rerouting the power flow through the manual lines. But we'll need to shut down all automated systems. Completely." "That's insane," Kaito said. "We'd be flying blind." "No," Mara said. "We'd be flying human." The bridge fell into silence. "Do it," she said. "Turn off the computers. Switch to analog." Becky didn't hesitate. "Aye, Captain." Moments later, the lights dimmed. The soft hum of onboard AI silenced. Screens went dark, replaced by flickering backup lights and the quiet beeping of ancient dials. The bridge felt like it had stepped back in time. Harper tapped his console, surprised to see physical buttons actually working. Manual systems, responding. "Good," Mara said. "Now let's steer out of this shadow." But the darkness wasn't done. Outside, more strands curled around the ship. One wrapped tightly across the front hull, and with a sharp screech, the ship jerked. Everyone stumbled. Sparks flew from a panel to the left. "Brace!" Harper shouted. A low moan came from the ship's frame. Pipes hissed. The metal beneath their feet vibrated again. Mara grabbed the edge of her chair to stay upright. Becky's voice shouted through the comm. "I've got another reading. There's something inside the distortion. At the center of it." "What is it?" "I don't know," he yelled. "But it's watching us." Kaito glanced at the screen. The external view was fuzzy, but a shape was forming in the blackness. Not solid, not clear, a blur of motion and silence. "It's not a ship," he said softly. It's alive." Then came the voice. It didn't come through speakers or comms. It came through the metal, through the hull. It was deep, slow, not words, but a feeling, like sorrow wrapped in thunder. The crew froze. No one moved. No one breathed. The voice seemed to pulse through their bones. And then it spoke somehow. "You hear me?" Mara stepped closer to the viewport. "Who are you?" "You broke the silence," it said. "You are not like the others." Harper swallowed hard. "It's talking about the ship." The voice continued, soft but endless. "You are flawed, imperfect. You bend. You resist." Mara clenched her fists. "We survive." The black shape outside moved again. This time it pulsed outward. "You do not fear," the voice said. "We do," Mara whispered. "But we go forward anyway." Silence. Then a pulse of light. One by one, the dead stars began to reappear. Kaito gasped. It's opening space again." But the Drovian shook his head. "No, it's choosing you." Mara narrowed her eyes. "For what?" The Drovian looked at her, fear returning. "To finish what it started." And outside, the shape grew sharper, waiting, watching, inviting her forward. The stars outside the Defiance blinked back into view, one by one. But they didn't look quite right. Some shimmered like reflections in water. Others flickered in and out like faulty lights. Space itself felt wrong, like it was still waking up. On the bridge, everyone stared at the viewport in silence. Mara Quinn stood at the center, arms crossed, eyes locked on the growing shape ahead. The black mass had taken form now. It wasn't solid, but it moved with purpose, like smoke in a jar, slowly twisting toward them. "It's not attacking," Harper said quietly. "It's waiting. For us," Mara said. Kaito shook his head. "Why? Why us? Why now?" "Because we broke something," she answered. "And now it wants us to fix it." The Drovian officer spoke again, his voice low and uneasy. "This thing, it was buried here for a reason. It's not a creature. It's not even alive the way we understand. It's memory, ancient memory, left behind by something long gone. Something that didn't want to be remembered." "Too late for that," Mara said. Down in engineering, Becky's hands flew across analog switches. Steam hissed from a corner pipe, but he ignored it. "Captain, the readings are stabilizing. Sort of," he said over the comm. "We're inside something now. A bubble. A shell of space that's being held together by us." "Held together how?" "I think our ship's imperfections, the weird angles, the patched circuits, the metal stress fractures, they're making patterns. Resonance. The kind of shapes this memory can read." "Patterns?" Mara asked. "Like notes in a song," he said. "Our ship is playing something it understands." Mara looked around the bridge. Her ship had been mocked, retired, nearly scrapped. But it had lived. And every scar, every broken panel, every ugly weld had told a story. Now those stories were the only thing keeping space from falling apart. "Then let's play louder," she said. But before anyone could respond, the Defiance shook violently. Lights flickered. Metal groaned. "Impact!" Harper shouted. "It's grabbing us again." "Not with force," Kaito added. "With direction. It's pulling us somewhere." Outside, the shape began to stretch. It wasn't just a dark mass now. It was a tunnel, path, a corridor through space, Harper said, amazed. The voice returned, not in sound, but through the ship itself. "You are chosen. You carry chaos. Chaos is life. Enter, and remember." Mara hesitated only a second. "Take us in," she said. The Defiance moved forward. Not with thrusters. Not with force. It simply was moving, drawn along the dark corridor, deeper into the strange structure. As they traveled, the stars disappeared again. But this time, no one panicked. There was a strange calm in the air. The ship hummed, not in warning, but in rhythm. like it was breathing. Images began to appear outside. Floating memories, visions, ancient ships, strange designs, massive, organic-looking, moving through stars that no longer existed. Planets crumbling, oceans boiling, suns folding in on themselves. Species, dozens, maybe hundreds, that no one had ever seen before. And then, silence. Mara whispered, "What are we seeing?" "Extinction," said the Drovian. "A whole age of life. Burned. Forgotten." The ship kept going. Faster now. Another vision flashed past. A great machine. A ring wrapped in glowing lines. Drifting in space, turning slowly, sending pulses of light into the void. "That's it," Becky said suddenly. "That's the thing they used to trap the memory. That's what we're inside." "Then where are we going?" Kaito asked. The voice returned again, stronger this time. "You must remember. You must teach them. The silence must not return." Harper frowned. "Teach who?" But the answer came in the next vision. The Defiance was shown. Not in real time, but in a glowing outline. Surrounded by alien ships. Leading them, teaching them, helping them build more ships like it. Broken ships. Flawed ships. Alive ships. Mara stood straighter. "It's not just showing us the past. It's showing us the future." The Drovian stepped forward, eyes wide. "It's giving you its knowledge, passing it on." "And in return?" Mara asked. The ship began to shake again, softly this time. The voice whispered one last thing. "Carry us forward." Then the black corridor collapsed. The stars returned. The shimmer faded. The Defiance was alone in normal space once more. But nothing was the same. Systems were glowing. Energy readings were impossible. The hull shimmered with soft light. Space around them felt quieter. Mara looked at her crew. "Are we still in one piece?" she asked. Kaito nodded slowly. "Yes, Captain. But we're not the same ship anymore." Mara exhaled. "Good. Because the galaxy was going to need something very different." The Defiance hovered in open space. No more shaking. No more voices in the walls. The strange corridor was gone. The stars were back. Everything looked normal again. But it wasn't. The ship felt different. The lights were brighter, even though no one had touched them. The engines gave off a soft hum that didn't match any known frequency. Old pipes that used to rattle were now still. Even the air felt smoother, warmer. On the bridge, everyone stayed quiet, waiting. Kaito broke the silence first. "We're back in regular space. Coordinates check out." "But Captain, we've moved." "How far?" Mara asked. He turned in his chair. "EO's system is 2 sectors behind us. We jumped, but we didn't use the drive." Harper added, "The stars show we've traveled almost a light year. In seconds." No one spoke. Finally, Mara said what they were all thinking. "We didn't fly out. It moved us." Becky's voice came through the calm but awed. "Captain, you need to come to engineering. You're not going to believe this." She made her way down fast. The ship creaked under her boots, but it wasn't the usual tired groan. It was steady, like the ship was awake now, listening. Becky met her at the door, grinning like a kid with a new toy. "All right," Mara said. "What happened?" He waved her inside. Diagrams glowed across 6 old screens, some half-flickering, others bright and new. Readings pulsed in strange, looping patterns. It didn't make sense. "This," Becky said, pointing at the strange symbols, "is from the corridor. I recorded it. It's not just energy. It's instructions." "Instructions for what?" "Everything. How to move through space in ways we didn't think were possible. How to read the folds between dimensions. How to travel without pushing through space, but by blending with it." He tapped the panel again. "And our ship is doing it now. On its own." Mara stared at the wall of light. "You're telling me this old junker is now a prototype for a completely new kind of travel?" He nodded. "And get this, our weird, messy patchwork hull? It's the reason it works. The imperfections match the same chaotic patterns we saw in the corridor. That thing, the memory or whatever it was, picked us because of that. Mara rubbed her forehead. The council is never going to believe this. They'll have to, he said, because we just rewrote physics. Before Mara could respond, the ship's comm system chirped. Captain, incoming message from Council Command, Harper said. They want a report, and they're angry. Mara sighed and turned around. Let's give them something to be really angry about. Back on the bridge, she took the call. The hologram flickered to life. First speaker Rollin, a tall being with silver skin and wide, lidless eyes, appeared. His face showed no emotion. Captain Quinn, he said coldly. We received unusual readings from your sector. Then you vanished. Now you reappear, broadcasting strange signals we can't identify. Explain. Mara kept her voice calm. We found the source of the distortion. It wasn't a weapon. It was ancient memory, buried, hidden. We didn't destroy it. We connected with it. Impossible, Rollins said. Your vessel is outdated. You were only sent to observe, not experiment. With respect, she said. Observation wasn't an option. Our ship's design, its chaos, allowed us to survive where others would have been destroyed. That's not theory. That's fact. Another voice joined the call, a council scientist, looking down her long nose at the crew. You're saying your ship, that ship, communicated with a non-physical intelligence? Mara smiled. Not just communicated. It shared something. And now we can do things you can't. Such as. She looked to Kaito. Show them. He pressed a button on the old panel. The ship's engines hummed. The stars outside shifted. In a blink, the Defiance was gone. Gone from its current location. Now hovering in low orbit above Earth. The entire jump took less than 2 seconds. The council holograms flickered. Shocked. Dozens of voices called out in alarm. Explain, Rollins said again, louder this time. Mara shrugged. We didn't break space. We just stopped fighting it. Another message came through, this one from Earth Fleet Command. Defiance, this is Admiral Voss. What the hell did you just do? Mara grinned. Something new. Kaito leaned over. Captain, multiple signals. News of our jump just hit every channel. Half the fleet wants to know how we did it. The other half wants to stop us. Let them try, she said. Then she turned to the viewport. Because something was still watching. And it wasn't finished with them yet. The Defiance hovered above Earth like a ghost from the past, silent, glowing faintly, and impossible to understand. People on the planet below stared up through telescopes, wondering how an old warship had just appeared out of nowhere. Inside the ship, the crew was quiet. No one really knew what to say. The impossible jump still echoed in their minds. No warp drive, no countdown, just a gentle hum. And then they were here. Harper broke the silence first. I think we just became legends. Mara didn't answer. She stood at the viewport, eyes scanning the stars. The voice they'd heard before, the one that lived in the dark corridor, was gone. But something deeper had taken its place. A kind of pressure, like space itself was holding its breath. Becky entered the bridge, wiping oil from his hands. Engineering is holding. Barely. Whatever that jump did, it pushed the systems past any known limits. Can we do it again? Kaito asked. He nodded. Yes, but not too many times. The ship's still old, remember? Smart, sure, but old. Mara turned. We need answers before we use this again. Just then, a priority signal flashed on Harper's console. He tapped it. Incoming transmission. Not Council. Not Earth Fleet. Who is it? Harper looked confused. It's civilian. A private science array on the edge of the Vega system. They're sending a distress call. Mara stepped forward. Put it through. The screen blinked. A middle-aged woman appeared, surrounded by sparks and smoke. Behind her, flashing red lights lit the lab. This is Dr. Ilara Chun, director of Array 17. We're under attack by something we can't explain. It's not a ship. It's a void. Eating light. Eating data. We tried to send probes. They vanished. She paused, eyes full of fear. It looks like what you brought back. Then the feed cut off. The bridge went silent. Becky spoke first. It followed us. No, Mara said, her voice steady. It didn't follow. We opened a door, and now it's spreading. Harper looked up from his screen. Admiral Voss is ordering us to stand down. She says this is now a council matter. Mara didn't move. What's our travel time to Vega? Kaido checked the numbers. With a normal FTL route, 3 days. Maybe more. And with the jump? Everyone looked at Mbeki. He took a deep breath. We can try, but it might hurt the ship. The hull wasn't built to handle this kind of stress repeatedly. She'll hold, Mara said quietly. Captain, Harper said. If we do this again, we're not just bending rules. We're throwing them away. The council could see it as a threat. Then they can try to stop us, she said. I'm not letting another station get swallowed because they're too slow to act. The crew nodded. No one argued. Mara turned to Kaido. Set course for Vega. He did. The ship hummed again. The lights dimmed, then brightened. The same warm pulse moved through the Defiance, like a heartbeat. Engage, Mara said. In less than 3 seconds, they were there. The sky outside twisted once, then snapped back. The Defiance now floated near Vega, above a blue-gray planet with a glowing research station wrapped in defense grids, or what was left of it. A giant black mass hovered near the station. It wasn't moving. It didn't pulse or flicker. It simply existed, darkness so deep it erased the stars behind it. That's the same thing, Harper said. From the corridor. Becky stared at it, his face pale. No, it's worse. It's changed. Outside, one of the station's satellites drifted too close. The blackness reached out. Not fast, but smooth, like ink in water, and the satellite vanished. No flash, no explosion, just gone. Kaido whispered, It's not attacking, it's feeding. Mara turned to Mbeki. Can we stop it? He looked at her, eyes serious. Not by force, but maybe we can talk to it. Like before. How? Same way we did last time. Show it something it understands. Chaos. Imperfection. The ship's unique signal. But we have to be close. Harper looked up. You want us to fly into that? We don't have a choice, Mara said. The crew moved quickly. Systems were set. Old buttons clicked. Wires sparked. The Defiance creaked as power surged through its frame. As they approached the dark mass, the voice returned. Fainter now. You returned. Incomplete. Mara stepped forward. We came to fix that. The darkness pulsed. Then show us what remains. The Defiance flew into the dark. Into silence. Into memory. Into something older than time. And the stars began to blink out, one by one. The Defiance flew straight into the black. No alarms. No screams. Just silence. A heavy silence that pressed on the ship, the crew, and even their thoughts. Lights inside the ship flickered. Gravity shifted for a moment, then steadied. It was like the ship was holding its breath. Outside, there were no stars now. Nothing but endless dark. Not empty, hungry. Mara gripped the armrest of her chair. Status. Still intact, Kaido said, his voice quiet. Barely. We're inside it. Harper checked his console. No signals. No energy readings. But we're not alone. The blackness outside rippled. Shapes began to form. Not ships. Not creatures. Memories. Images danced in the dark. Faint, ghost-like scenes. Planet breaking apart. An alien fleet crushed by a wall of silent void. 1,000 civilizations reaching out and disappearing. Becky watched in awe. These are echoes. Warnings. This thing, it remembers everything it consumed. The voice returned. Deeper now, more present. You came again. Different, but still broken. Mara stood. Yes, and we're not here to fight you. The voice didn't answer. Instead, the ship began to glow. The hull shimmered, lines of energy pulsing along old welds and patched seams. Every flaw lit up like stars in a map. Becky's eyes widened. The ship's showing its story. Every repair. Every failure. Every time we bent instead of breaking. Harper whispered, "It's speaking back." In its own way, the darkness pulsed again. Chaos, not destruction. You lived where others broke. Mara nodded. We didn't survive by being perfect. We adapted. We struggled. We held together when nothing else would. The voice paused. Then, softer, "Can you teach us?" Becky stepped forward. "Yes, through the ship. Let us show you." He activated the modified drive. The Defiance released a low hum, the same one it gave off during the last jump. But this time it spread outward, not to move but to connect. The ship's unique frequency, a pattern born from years of repairs and patches, rippled into the black. The darkness shivered. And then, the stars began to return, one by one, like lights being remembered. The station behind them came back into view. The defensive grid lit up. People inside started cheering. The black mass shrank, folding inward, as if it had taken a deep breath and was finally exhaling. Outside, the void's shape melted into mist, and then disappeared. The Defiance floated alone in space once more, surrounded by stars. They had done it. Harper leaned back in his seat. "It's gone." "No," Mara said softly. "It's changed." Becky looked at the screens. "We didn't destroy it. We helped it remember. We showed it what survival looks like. What imperfection looks like," Harper added. Kaito grinned. "What humans look like." The comms blinked again. This time it was Admiral Voss. "Captain Quinn," she said, sounding stunned. "We just got full visuals of what you did." The council is speechless. Frankly, so am I. Mara smiled. We just made a friend out of something no one understood. And all it took was a ship everyone gave up on. Voss paused, then nodded slowly. Earth Command wants a full briefing. They want to study your ship. They want to learn. Mara looked around her bridge. At the rusted corners, the patched control panels, the glowing seams that now pulsed with calm energy. "Let them study all they want," she said. "But they won't find the answer in a lab. The truth's in the journey, in the struggle." Voss smiled. "Well said, Captain." The transmission ended. Kaito looked at her. "Where to now?" Mara walked to the center of the bridge and placed her hand on the console. "Somewhere quiet, somewhere curious, wherever something needs a second chance." Becky chuckled. "Just like us." The crew laughed, but there was pride in it. Mara looked out at the stars. "Plot a course." Kaito raised an eyebrow. "To where?" She smiled. "Anywhere." The Defiance glowed again. The patched-up ship that had once been forgotten now carried a piece of something ancient, something powerful, and something grateful. As the engines hummed and the stars blurred around them, the galaxy watched. The old human ship was no longer just a survivor. It was a teacher, a guide, a legend. Not bad for a ship held together with duct tape and stubborn hope.